JWT stands for JSON Web Token. In its simplest form, JWT authentication is a two-step process. First, a client obtains a JWT token from the server. This token is signed with a secure key and encrypted with the standard encryption algorithm. It has an expiry date and it contains a list of claims such as the user ID, user role, his email, etc. The client obtains authorization to a web API by sending this token in an authorization header. In this tutorial, we shall see a server-side implementation of the code for generating a JWT token and of protecting a web API. So let's see. The source code of the project has been attached as a download with this tutorial. Open the project in Visual Studio and install the NuGet package for JWT authentication. Ensure that the installation succeeds. Secondly, this project is built on the project that we have discussed in the previous tutorial where we implemented basic authentication by inheriting a class from authentication handler. You might want to go through that tutorial for a recap. Locate the program.cs file and double-click to open it. First, we have the namespaces. You can always come back to examine these if you get compilation errors. Next, we have a string for client secret. This key should not be hard-coded as we have done here. In a real project, it should be saved in a more secure place such as app settings or environment variables. The length of the key must be greater than 32 bits or at least 16 Unicode characters. After that, token validation parameters are created. Client secret is used to construct a signing key. The issuer is set to your API website and the audience is set to your web API endpoint. These are not hard and fast rules, but I suggest that you may please refer the JWT website jwt.io for finer details because that would be beyond the scope of this tutorial. The next step is to register the services for basic authentication and JWT bearer authentication. Token validation parameters are now attached as JWT bearer options. The next 5 lines are the usual boilerplate code that we already know. And next, we have a GET API that is called by the user to obtain his JWT token. This web API is authorized using basic authentication, which means that the user has to send his login and password through an authorization header. Once the user authenticates, a JWT security token is created on the basis of token validation parameters. And after that, this security token is used to obtain the string for JWT token and it is then sent as a JSON property of name access_token. It could have been of any name, but it seems that this is the name that has now become almost a convention. So we have retained that name. In our case, the user has been provided a JWT token through a call to a web API that itself is protected by basic authentication. Many websites follow this method. But this is not the only way. Some websites have a dedicated page for showing the JWT token. For this, they have a login form where the user enters his credentials and after a successful authentication, the same page presents a JWT token along with its expiry date. The user can then copy this JWT token and use it for subsequent calls. I have seen this technique till recently on the Zoom meeting website. And lastly, we have a web API that is protected through JWT authentication. The handler need be only marked with an authorized attribute and everything else is taken care of by the NuGet package that we